Hello students, today you are going to study a next chapter, a new chapter, that is Kingdom Animalia. You have studied 5 kingdom system of classification in chapter number 2, that is systematic of living organisms. Okay, in that chapter you have studied first kingdom, that was kingdom Monera, second kingdom was Protista, third one was kingdom Fungi, fourth one was kingdom Plantae, and this is kingdom Animalia. So as I said earlier, there is a great diversity of living organisms exist on earth in different habitats, and it's not possible to remember or to study all these organisms without their proper classification. So that 5 kingdom system of classification was proposed by R.H. Whittaker, okay, in 1969, okay, by considering several criteria. Same way, while classifying or while studying this kingdom Animalia, you have to consider, or several criteria were considered by scientists, like the grade of organization. That criteria involves cellular type of organization. Then the second one is cell tissue level type of grade of organization. Third one is tissue organ level type of organization. So in this chapter, first criteria was considered by scientists for classification of kingdom, for classification of animals, that is kingdom Animalia. Second criteria was considered by scientists for classification of animals into different categories, that was a body symmetry, whether the animal is symmetrical, symmetrical, or bilaterally symmetrical. If it is not divided into two equal halves passing through their center, that section should be passing through their centers, then it is called as asymmetry. If a particular organism is divided into, or if a particular animal is divided into two equal halves in only one plane passing through its center, then that symmetry is called as a bilateral symmetry, and a that is called as a bilateral symmetry. Then the third type of symmetry is called as a radial symmetry, in which that organism can be divided into, or that animal can be divided into two equal halves at any plane passing through its center, and that symmetry is called as a radial type of symmetry. So that was second criteria considered by scientists for classification of different types of animals into several categories or different categories. Third criteria was body cavity, whether this is that particular organism is acoelomate, coelomate, or pseudocoelomate. So acoelomate, body cavity means it is a cavity present between the body wall and the alimentary canal, that is called as a body cavity. So if it is absent, then it is called as asymmetry. Then it is, if it is present in false form, then it is called as a pseudocoelomate cavity. And if it is present, then it is called as a coelomate. That organism is called as, or that animal is called as a coelomate type of animal. So this is third criteria, that is body cavity. So that body cavity involves three different types of body cavities, like the acoelomate, then the coelomate, and the third one is pseudocoelomate. Acoelomate means that body cavity is totally absent. Coelomate means body cavity is present, and pseudocoelomate means that cavity is present in the form of false, or that cavity is not true type of cavity. That's why that cavity is called as, or that animal is called as a pseudocoelomate animal. Okay. Then we just see the next criteria that was considered by scientists for classification of animals, that was the germ layer. So this criteria involves two types of categories, like the diploblastic and triploblastic. So if it is diploblastic type of animal, then their body wall is divided into two parts, or the two layers, that is the ectoderm and the endoderm. Then triploblastic, second category is triploblastic. This involves, this consists of three layers, that is the ectoderm, mesoderm, and the endoderm. And the next criteria that was considered by scientists for the classification of animals into different categories, that was the segmentation, whether the organism is, or animal is segmented or segmented. Then we just move towards the next criteria, that is the animal body plane. Okay, this involves three different types of body, animal body plane. First one is cell aggregation plane. So this body plane in this body plane, cells do not form a tissue or the organ level type of organization. So there is no tissue level or the organ level type of organization. So cells in this category, cells do not form a tissue or the organ level type of organization. There is a minimal division of labor. म्हणजेच या किंगडम मध्ये येणारे जे अॅनिमल्स आहेत, किंगडम पोरिफेरा मध्ये येणारे जे अॅनिमल्स आहेत यांच्यामध्ये अशा पद्धतीने लेबरचं डिव्हिजन पाहायला मिळतं. म्हणजे प्रत्येक सेलला विशिष्ट असं काम विभागून दिलेलं असतं, प्रत्येक सेल्सना असं काम विभागून दिलेलं असतं. दॅट इज कॉल्ड ॲज ए minimal differentiation of labor. Okay, so this is simply regarding the cell aggregation plane. So there is no organization of tissue and the tissue level type of organization. Okay, then second criteria, that is the blind sac body plane. So this is a tube like structure, that is a tube has one opening. This is mainly found in this type of animal, that is a hydra. So this is a simple tube, blind or the tube which shows only one opening. So these animals take water inside or food through this opening, that is called as so they take food material inside through this opening, and they excrete also undigested food materials through this same opening. So this opening acts as a anus as well as a mouth. Okay, so this type of body plane is called as a blind sac. So that sac shows only one opening. Okay, and the third one is tube within the tube body plane. So this is a digestive system present in the tube like body cavity. Okay, so this is simply starts with the mouth and the ends with the anus. So this is a tube within the tube body plane type of body plane. Now just see the so these are criteria, different criteria considered by scientists for classification of different types of animals into different categories. So these animals are classified into several phylums. So first, today you are going to study first phylum, that is phylum Porifera. So this is basically, this word is basically made up of two words, pori and fera. So pori means pores and fera means bearing. Pore bearing animals are called as poriferians. Okay, pore bearing animals are called as poriferians, and this phylum is called as Porifera. Pori means pores and the fera means bearing. For example, Cycon, Euspongia and the Eupliptela. Eupliptela, this is another example, third example of this particular phylum, that is phylum Porifera. Let us see the characters of this phylum Porifera. Okay, so these animals are basically aquatic animals, and most of them are marine water animals, while very few animals are freshwater animals. Okay, so poriferians are basically mostly marine water animals, while very few animals are freshwater animals. Okay, let us see, and these are commonly known as sponges. मुलाचं जे एक्झाम्पल आहे ते स्पॉन्ज आहे, त्याचं एक्झाम्पल आहे जे ते स्पॉन्ज, यांना स्पॉन्जेस असं म्हणतात. त्याचं एक्झाम्पल आहे स्पॉन्जिया, यूस्पॉन्जिया, सायकॉन अँड दी युप्लिप्टेला. तिसरं जे एक्झाम्पल आहे त्याचं नाव आहे युप्लिप्टेला. ओके, सायकॉन आणि यूस्पॉन्जिया. ओके, दीज एनिमल्स आर बेसिकली asymmetrical. These animals are basically asymmetrical. It means that their body cannot be divided into two equal half. Okay, so these animals are basically asymmetrical. Then their body is colonial. Okay, colonial, and these animals are sedentary. Sedentary means these are attached to the substratum. So these are known as sedentary. Then their body is mainly perforated by minute apertures. Their body is perforated by minute apertures, and these apertures are called as ostia. यांना काय म्हणतात? Ostia असं म्हणतात. Ostia. And this big aperture is called as osculum. Understood? याला काय म्हणतात? Osculum असं म्हणतात. So their body is basically perforated by small openings or the apertures which are called as ostia, and they have a big opening which is towards the anterior side, that is called as a osculum. Okay, Then the water is circulated through a canal system that is called as spongosil. It is lined by collar cells. Okay, collar cells, and the body is basically supported by calcareous or siliceous spicules. Siliceous spicules. I repeat my sentence. These animals are basically aquatic. Okay, then their spongosil is lined by collar cells. Okay, and their body is mainly supported by calcareous or a siliceous spicules. Okay, then these animals reproduce sexually as well as asexually. They reproduce asexually by, yes, they reproduce sexually by gamete formation. Okay, and the fertilization process takes place internally, and the development is indirect through a larval stage. Okay, through larva. Okay, so these animals reproduce asexually as well as sexually. Sexual reproduction takes place internally, that is called as a fertilization takes place internally, and the development is indirect through a larva. Then they have great power of regeneration. All these animals, those who belong to this particular phylum, that is Porifera, have a great power of regeneration. Okay, so this is simply regarding the different characters of first phylum, that is phylum Porifera. Okay, so this phylum Porifera includes Cycon, Euspongia, Eucliptella. Okay, this is a cycon. This shows minute apertures, and these apertures are called as ostia, and this big aperture is called as a osculum. Okay, then reproduction. Yes, they reproduce asexually as well as sexually. They reproduce sexually by gamete formation. Then the fertilization process takes place internally, and the development is indirect by a larval stage or by larva. Okay, so this is simply regarding this particular phylum, that is phylum Porifera. Okay, now just move towards the second phylum, that is Nidaria. It starts with the C, Nidaria, Nidaria. Example, Aurelia and the Hydra. Aurelia म्हणजे jellyfish. Aurelia म्हणजे jellyfish आणि हायड्रा, हे जे हायड्राचं एक्झाम्पल आहे ते इथे मी ते ड्रॉ केलेलं आहे. टिनोफोराचं जे एक्झाम्पल आहे ते इथे, हा जो एनिमल आहे तो इथे टिनोफोराचा इथे मी ड्रॉ केलेला आहे. ओके, Pleurobacia. Okay, so the second phylum is Nidaria. Let us see some characters of Nidaria. These animals are basically aquatic. Then most of them are marine water, while very few animals are fresh water. These animals are free living. Then these are radially symmetrical, diploblastic. Diploblastic means their body wall is divided into two parts, that is the ectoderm and the endoderm. Then they show blind sac type of body plane. It means that they show blind sac type of body plane. It means that they have a cavity which opens at only one end. Okay, so this acts as a mouth as well as anus. That is called as a blind sac type of body plane, which is mainly found in the Hydra. Okay, which belongs to this phylum, that is Nidaria. So these animals are basically aquatic, marine water, free swimming, and the radially symmetrical. These animals are radially symmetrical, and these animals are basically can be divided into two equal half at any plane passing through their center. So these are radially symmetrical. Then diploblastic. It means that their body wall is divided into ectoderm and the endoderm. Then they show blind sac type of body plane. That is, this body is blind sac type of body plane. Then these animals show two types of body forms, that is the polyp and the medusa. Polyp form and the medusa form. Polyp म्हणजे पाईप सारखा, असा पाईप सारखा हा जो हायड्रा आहे तो आहे पाईप सारखा हायड्रा. ओके, ऑरिलिया म्हणजेच जेलीफिश. ओके, तर हा पॉलिफॉर्म आहे आणि मेडुसा म्हणजे अम्ब्रेला सारखा शेप जो बघायला मिळतो जेलीफिशचा त्याला मेडुसा असं म्हणतात. सो देन the body cavity for the circulation and the digestion. They have a body cavity which is mainly being used for the circulation and for digestion. They have tentacles and their tentacles bear nidocytes. They have tentacles and those tentacles are supported by or tentacles bear nidocytes. Special cells are known as nidocytes which are mainly used for the offense and for defense purpose. So they can use those nidocytes for offense purpose as well as for defense purpose. Okay. Then the most important thing is that they reproduce asexually as well as sexually. So they reproduce asexually by budding and they exhibit a alternation of generation. Most important thing is that they show a alternation of generation, that is a polyp form alternates with medusa form and medusa form alternates with the polyp form. So polyp produce medusa asexually and medusa form produces polyp form sexually. So they alternate each other, that is polyp and the medusa form. So I repeat my sentence, they show alternation of generation, that is polyp form produce medusa asexually and medusa form produces a polyp form sexually and vice versa. Okay, so this is called as the alternation of generation and this is mainly found in case of phylum Nidaria. Okay, this includes Aurelia and the Hydra. Okay, so this is simply regarding the second phylum, that is Nidaria. Let us move towards the next and the third phylum, that is the phylum Ctenophora. So this phylum is commonly known as comb jelly or the sea walnuts. Okay, हे जे animals आहेत त्यांना comb jelly त्याचप्रमाणे sea walnuts सुद्धा म्हणतात. Okay, basically these animals are marine water, okay, free swimming. These animals, those who belong to this phylum, that is the Ctenophora, and this starts with the C, Ctenophora, Ctenophora. Okay, so basically these animals are mostly marine water, free living, and these are diploblastic, having two layers, that is the ectoderm and the endoderm. These animals are again radially symmetrical. It means that they can be divided into two equal halves at any plane passing through their center. Okay, with a blind sac type of body plane, just like this body plane, that is the blind sac. They have also a blind sac type of body plane and radially symmetrical type of symmetry. Okay, then they show tissue level type of organization. Okay, these animals, those who belong, these animals like the coloblast and the pleurobrachia and the coloblast. So these animals belong to this particular third phylum. Actually, this phylum is very minor phylum or the small phylum, that is Ctenophora, because very few animals belong to this particular phylum, that is Ctenophora. That's why this phylum is considered as a small phylum, and these are mostly marine water, free swimming, radially symmetrical with a blind sac type of body plane. Okay, and they show tissue level type of organization. They move with the help of 8 rows of the ciliated comb plates. They move, or locomotion takes place through special 8 rows of ciliated comb plates. Okay, then these are bioluminescence. Bioluminescence means they generate a particular light. Okay, that is called as a bioluminescence. Okay, then the most important thing is that they show extra that is intracellular digestion as well as extracellular digestion as well as intracellular digestion. So they show both types of digestions like the intracellular digestion and the extracellular digestion. It means that they can digest any food particle inside their body as well as outside their body. That is called as intracellular digestion as well as extracellular digestion. These animals reproduce sexually, direct development, okay, sexually by the direct development of the organism. Okay, then they have nidoblast. They absent nidoblast. That's why these are called as anidarian. I repeat my sentence. These ctenophorians lack a nidoblast cells. That's why these are known as anidarians, and that's why these are called as ctenophorians. Okay, ctenophorians असं म्हणतात त्यांना निडारियन्स का म्हणत नाहीयेत कारण त्याच्यामध्ये काय नाहीयेत, निडोब्लास्ट नाहीयेत, यांच्यामध्ये निडोब्लास्ट नाहीयेत आणि म्हणून त्यांना अनिडारियन्स असं म्हणतात. ओके, आणि अनिडारियन्स म्हणजे त्याला अल्टरनेटिव्ह नाव दिलं त्यांनी टिनोफोरा. ओके, सो दे instead of that they have sticky cells to capture their prey. त्या निडोब्लास्टच्या ऐवजी त्यांच्यामध्ये अशा स्टिकी सेल्स असतात की ज्यांच्या थ्रू ते काय करू शकतात, त्यांच्या प्रेला ते कॅप्चर करू शकतात. सो दे कॅन कॅप्चर प्रे थ्रू दोज स्टिकी सेल्स instead of a nidoblast. Okay, then these are represented by few species. This particular phylum, that is Ctenophora, is represented by very few species. That's why this is considered as a very small phylum, that is Ctenophora. Okay, so in this way today you have studied three phylums. Number one is phylum Porifera, pore-bearing animals. Example: Cycon, Euspongia, Euplectella. Okay, याच्यामध्ये आपल्याला ही पूर्ण बॉडी बघायला मिळेल. अशा पद्धतीने हे स्पॉन्जेस आहे, त्याच्यावरती असे मायन्यूट अपर्चर्स आहे, त्याला ऑस्टियम म्हणतात, आणि हे जे आहे वरती त्याला काय म्हणतात, ऑस्क्युलम असं म्हणतात. त्यानंतरचा जो पुढचा जो फायलम आहे, फायलमला नाव दिलं आहे निडारिया. याला सिलेंटेरेटा असं सुद्धा म्हणतात, सिलेंटेरॉन कॅव्हिटी. दे हॅव सिलेंटेरॉन कॅव्हिटी, दॅट्स वाय दीज आर कन्सिडर्ड ॲज सिलेंटेरेटा. त्याला निडारिया सुद्धा म्हणतात. ओके, सिलेंटेरेटा दुसरं नाव आहे असं. त्याचं एक्झाम्पल आहे ऑरेलिया आणि हायड्रा. याचं जे याला म्हणतात ऑरेलिया म्हणजे जेलीफिश, अम्ब्रेला शेप असतं की नाही, शेप असा जेलीफिश, त्याला ऑरेलिया म्हणतात. आणि हा जो आहे तो हायड्रा. ओके, यांच्यामध्ये स्पेशालिटी आहेत ब्लाइंड सॅक टाइप ऑफ बॉडी प्लेन आणि याच्यामध्ये रॅडियल सिमेट्री बघायला मिळते. त्यानंतर यांच्यामध्ये निडोसाइट्स असतात, निडोब्लास्ट सेल्स असतात म्हणून त्यांना निडारियन्स असं म्हणतात. यांच्यामध्ये निडोब्लास्ट सेल्स असतात म्हणून त्यांना निडारियन्स म्हणतात. तर यांच्यामध्ये ह्या नसतात म्हणून अनिडारियन्स यांना म्हणतात. ओके, निडोब्लास्ट या फायलम मध्ये असलेल्या अॅनिमल्स मध्ये पाहायला मिळत नाही म्हणून त्यांना अनिडारियन्स असं म्हणतात किंवा टिनोफोरियन्स असं म्हणतात. ओके, आणि म्हणूनच फायलमला नाव दिलंय टिनोफोरा. इज बेसिकली मरीन वॉटर आहेत, रेडियल सिमेट्रिकल आहेत, ब्लाइंड स्टॅक बॉडी प्लेन आहे, टिश्यू लेवल टाइप ऑफ ऑर्गनायझेशन आहे. लोकोमोशन यांच्यामध्ये मेनली सिलिएटेड कॉम्प्लेट्स थ्रू होतं. दे मूव्ह अलॉंग with the help of complex. Okay, so these complex are special cells found in the ctenophorians. Okay, then they show extracellular digestion as well as intracellular digestion. They reproduce sexually. Okay, then they absent the nidoblast, as I said earlier. Instead of that, they have sticky cells to capture their prey, and this is a very minute phylum. In this way, today you have studied various criteria for the classification of for the classification of animals in various categories. Okay, in this kingdom phylum, today you have studied three phylums. First phylum is phylum Porifera, second phylum is phylum Nidaria, and the third phylum is Ctenophora. I think I hope all of you have understood all these points. If you have any doubt, you can ask me later on. Thank you.